If you're ever doing one of these pumps, this is what all comes in your kit. There's one other O-ring off to the side here along with the main front dust wiper seal, which isn't really a seal, it's just a felt wiper. It's a drive-in metal seal cage, but it just has a felt wiper to keep the dust out of the front of the pump, but where your input shaft goes in. But anyways, this is what you get here. You get a whole bunch of these. That's all for the main radial pistons, along with all these little other little orifice O-rings here, along with that's also for the main. That's for the check valve, I believe, over here. I found my other O-rings that I need here for this plate here. These are square cut, again, those square cut sealing rings. And I found the other square cut sealing ring here for that other return bypass orifice. So I got these two packets here. I got what I need for refurb on this here. So I got to get on with it. And then I got my new square cut O-ring here, my sealing ring here for the pump plate here for around the pump body here. So anyways, okay folks, continuing on here, I'm getting ready to reassemble this here. I got everything cleaned, everything checked out, everything here made sure. I do have a packet here that came in the seal kit, and it is the little square cut, the correct ones for this. I said I was going to use Vaseline to install them, and no, I will not be using Vaseline to install them, to make them to get them to stick, or to get them to tack up. I got some real sticky machine grease here. I'm not going to say what it is per se. Criticize if you want. I know I'm supposed to have a silicone or an ester based type grease. I believe what they say for installing O-rings is the best, but a good quality grease, that's just extreme pressure grease that I have here. So interestingly enough, I paused you guys, you folks here just a minute ago, because I got a phone call here from a fellow farmer neighbor here that fixes his own stuff too, and he was telling me, make sure you don't use any kind of grease on O-rings, or they're gonna, whatchamacallit, it'll eat all the O-rings up. Make sure you use Vaseline. Well, from my past experience with mechanicking, and my dad was a diesel mechanic all his life, and he always used grease on his O-rings, never used Vaseline, because it was a well-known fact that Vaseline actually dissolves and chews up and eats up butyl type O-rings, or any of those neoprene, or any of those type, whatchamacallit, is hard on them. Over time it literally dissolves them. So I just checked in the service manual for this tractor, and it actually says right in there not to use Vaseline in the install of any hydraulic components, or like your O-rings and such. So if it works for you, well, great, but I won't be using it. So I'm installing these little square quad rings here. I put a little bit of grease in each of these orifices, these recessed cutaway orifices here already. So I got these O-rings tacked up and stuck in here, and we're going to keep on going here. So I want to get this together. It's getting late in the day, and I want to get this done. So I'm not rushing. I'm taking my time, because this is something you do not want to rush. The quality of these seal kits and such, or whatever, these O-ring replacement kits now are, I don't have much faith in it, because I do believe this is supplied from a Chinese supplier, unfortunately, because nobody is left in North America. Even though this was an U.S. or American company that supplies these kits, unfortunately the kits are refurbished, or the O-ring refurbished come from a Chinese supplier. So some of their stuff's okay, some of it not so much. So here's the big sealing ring. Like I say, it looks like an oil filter sealing ring sits in here. I'm going to put just a tad bit of grease in here just to hold this in place. I actually thought about using something like a solvent resistant motor seal gasket maker for small two-stroke engines. But dealing with hydraulic pumps, I'm very, very leery, because if that gets into any of the pump orifices, which some of them here are regulating orifices, are very small and very fine. If you get one little bit of that in there and it plugs something up or whatever, you're going to be in trouble. So I decided against doing that. Whether or not, probably would have been fine, because I wouldn't have overdone it. To just put a little bit smeared in there would probably be very good. Actually, would put it in, let it tack up, and definitely would not fall out in the install procedure. So we'll see here. After getting this all gooped up with grease here, and if this doesn't work and I have to go back, I'm going to be pissed or whatever if I got to clean this up, and I'll end up having to go back to my original plan of using that. So I think it'll be fine. Now technically you're supposed to make some dowel pins when you're putting this together, because those springs are, like I was mentioning earlier, like I don't know if there's a couple of tension springs for a piston here, so a piston cup, so it pushes on the, well, it's a tension spring that's an actuator there for the control head here, so to speak. So okay, I think that's enough. Getting carried away here. Yeah, there we go. Ah, that won't go no worse. Okay, well, I feel pretty good about that. So I don't want to get grease on the actual face of this. I don't mind leaving it as a backing tackifier on the other side or whatever, but on this side it's on the high pressure port side. I don't know if it makes any difference. I think I'm just being overly cautious, but well, okay guys, we're gonna try and get this whole goofy assembly back in here if I can. This is literally how this goes in here, like this. So yeah, like I say, there's a fine stainless steel catchment screen here on the center of this pump body. So okay, let's see if we can get this crazy thing back in here or not. Oh boy, here we go. Now, like I say, they're very specific. You have to make sure you get everything lined up and everything sits just where it's supposed to, because they actually have ding marks. They've got punch marks from the factory when they build these pumps. They've got three punch marks in the pressure plate. They have three punch marks on the pump body and three punch marks on one of the valve heads here, as literally to keep everything completely in line and lined up to where it's supposed to be. So, oh boy. You dirty, rotten, messy bugger. It's in there. Spring actually helps holding everything everything up here. It's too bad there was still oil in this stupid orifice of this head. Now I gotta get down here and check and make sure that I haven't dropped any O-rings out of the head. So far everything looks okay. Whew. Boy oh boy. Fingers crossed. Everything looks good. All my O-rings are in place. My piston is in place. The springs are sitting where they're supposed to be. Okay. We are literally going to ease this into place here. Now I find it interesting that they don't actually use any kind of lock ring or a Loctite on this. Yes, I know this isn't a lab coat, white lab coat, clean hydraulic shop. This is being done on a farmer's tailgate. I'm doing the best I can with what little I have to work with. So, like most farmers, that's what you do. You make do with, well, homesteaders, modern farmers now, agriculture, they just take it into one of these big hydraulic shops and have all that stuff done for them. But I can't afford $150 an hour and a 3-day repair, so. Well, I hope I got it right. Hope nothing fell out, because if it did, we're screwed. We're going to be leaking oil like a sieve all over, but okay. Now I got to get whatchamacallit and torque these down. I just wanted to get this I think we're good, and I hope it's I hope we got it right. Well, we'll find out when it's back in the tractor and we fire it up. It starts pissing oil all over, we know we goofed up, eh? So, but if we got it right, it'll be right, it'll be good. Anyways, get back to you here in a second again. Well, there you have it. It's back together. It's torqued down, and oh boy, I hope I got those little there's 8 radial little sealing rings, and then the one little bit bigger medium-sized one, and then there's the big one around the outside of the pump body here. This one here. This one is actually still, it's nice and pliable. It's not. I thought this was the one that was leaking, but obviously this is not the one that was leaking. The one that was leaking was one of those, either, I'm thinking it's this little guy here. It's hard like wood, but it's not, this one's still in decent shape. But same can't be said for these other ones here. These are these little tiny ones that go around those 8 orifice ports there to the relief valves. These are actually deteriorating. They are literally hard like a rock, and they have surface. Well, they've got surface deformities on them. They're actually breaking down. So I'm sure there was a little bit of leakage coming out of more than one of them. So add it all up, and yeah, one of them was really, one of them over here was really bad. So that's probably, and it was close to the it was close to the high pressure port side, where it gets probably a lot of stress there, and a lot of heat. There's more heat there because the oil is being pushed through the pump and out that one high pressure port there. So it's well, that's actually the inlet port there, but on the well, right here. That's your high pressure port right here, and well, there's a lot of heat with the pressure, the oil coming through those orifices that builds up. The hydraulic systems in these things get very hot. They actually have a hydraulic cooler rad in the front of the radiator on them to try and keep the temps down on the oil, because when they're working hard, when it's say like 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summertime and you're working all afternoon with them, trust me, these things, you literally burn your hand if you touch a hydraulic line anywhere on them. So that hydraulic oil gets pretty hot in there. So there's no wonder these little O-rings, you know, get baked or whatever to nothing. So okay, anyways, now I got to get one more O-ring and a seal on the input drive shaft coupler there, they call it. So on with that.